In everything, give thanks. An attitude of gratitude is most salutary and bespeaks the realization that we are now in heaven. You feel that? We are now in heaven, right? That's not, thank you for the gift, thank you for, that's like an underlying, that's like before anything is received, isn't it? It's just an underlying attitude. And interestingly, I get Richard Rohr, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Richard Rohr, father. I get his email every morning, and the title of his morning thing is An Attitude of Gratitude. And I was trying to figure out who said that, and it came up that it was this guy who I saw on this show, This Is Us. I don't know if any of you watching This Is Us. And my favorite, and I'm like, that's not the guy that came up with that quote. So I don't know who said it, but an attitude of gratitude is really what we're going to talk about this morning, right? I'm also going to talk about Thanksgiving and the holidays and being with family and politics. So you might want to buckle your seatbelts, right? Let's take the hardest one first. All right. The consensus after the elections is that 100% of Americans feel that 50% of Americans have lost their minds. Is that not true? At least there's something we agree on. But seriously, that's maybe some of the hardest things about the holidays. I want to tell you a little story about Denise and I went to a dinner just before the elections, and it was an appreciation dinner for those of us that had helped a family build their house in Pismo Beach. And so before the dinner, the host, the people we built the house for, his name is Vaughn, he said a little prayer, and he thanked all of us for what we did, each little contribution in building this house for him. It was quite a project. And he had also invited this woman named Mary Ann, who he invited her because he didn't want her to be alone that night. And she, in the last year, had lost her mother, her sister, and she was running for re-election on Pismo City Council. And so she was involved in a pretty nasty race. And he wanted her to feel some comfort. And so he thanked her for being there at that dinner with us. But he said, I will not pray for an outcome of the election. That's not up to me. I only get one voice in that. I will pray that we accept the outcome. And I thought, that's the wisdom that we all need, isn't it? Because accepting the outcome is really what we need to do. There's an organization called Braver Angels, and I get emails from them. Denise and I have listened to some of their workshops online, and I want to read you. She sent me what they said this morning. They said, over the past few years, it feels like Thanksgiving has become a euphemism for inevitable family conflict. So what Braver Angels does is they teach people, reds and blues, their spouses, families, friends, how to speak respectfully, honestly, and constructively about political issues. And they use family marriage counseling tools to do that. Okay, so it's kind of a different way of listening without judgment, with genuine interest and understanding. And what they suggest is that we listen to the life experiences that have led us to why we believe what we believe. How did we get to this idea? And it's an amazing thing to put some of our judgments aside and just listen to what their experience has been. The idea is to establish a human connection as the foundation for a relationship. And I have to tell you that it's beautiful to see these people, real human beings, that have very different political ideas, having barbecues together, enjoying each other's company, and then discussing these issues with real respect. And I tell you, that's what we need. I think that's the spiritual truth of this is that God is in all of this, and we don't always see that, but that's what we want to set ourselves up for. And doing all we can to make a connection, because that's way better than the fragmentation. All right, so now we've got that out of the way. Let's get back to gratitude. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today, this moment is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So that's a pretty cool way to think about it, right? But if you want to find out how awakened you are and how truly enlightened you are, how far you've come down this journey, go visit your family or have your family over for the holidays, right? Because they're the ones who know just how to push your buttons, right? And we know how to push theirs. And because we were all involved in kind of making those buttons and finding out where they were, right? So I wanted to try and figure out some things that could really help us as we approach this holiday season. And I came across a poem by a guy named David White, and I thought, I can't just stand up here and read poetry, but I'm going to do some of that. But this guy just blows my mind. And if you want to hear the whole poem, I'll be happy. Just get a hold of me after the service, and I'll show you how to do that, because it's pretty amazing. So, it says, gratitude is not a passive response to something we have been given. Gratitude arises from paying attention. By paying attention, we become awake and alive with the presence of life, the presence of the divine that is all around us, that's in us, and that is moving as us. Gratitude is the understanding that many millions of things must come together and live together and breathe together in order for us to take even one more breath. Can you feel that? That's the miracle, that all of this has to happen together for us to even be here. To see the beauty of a daughter's face across the table is to be fully grateful without having to seek out a God to thank. To make a conversation without saying a word. This is what's extraordinary. Thanksgiving happens when our sense of presence meets all other presences. And then he ends this with, being unappreciative might mean that we are simply not paying attention. And we all know how to pay attention to what we want, what we're doing, be involved in this and how we've been in the past. And when we find ourselves unappreciative, maybe that's the lesson, is to think, pay attention. Just look at what's happening here instead of looking at what do I need next to be okay, right? So that's the thing is, how do we pay attention? And there's really two ways to be in the world, two ways to be with the world. There's being with someone and wanting something from them, even if it's wanting to understand them, wanting to give them something, right? We all know, I want you to hear this because this is great, right? But there is another way of just being with people and enjoying them, just enjoying them exactly as they are. So we can listen a little differently. Just listen. Much of the time we listen to understand, we listen to discern, but we can just listen like we would to a river or a song or a waterfall, to just take it in and see what happens. This morning, I woke up with our granddaughter, Aiden, that is sleepover, and woke up this morning and she wanted to make breakfast with the Play-Doh. So she made some pancakes, and you know how you get all these different colors of Play-Doh and then they all become kind of brownish? Yeah. Well, it's not quite there yet. It's kind of newer Play-Doh, so it was like all these different rainbow colors and stuff. So she gives me my pancakes and gives Denise her pancakes. And Denise says, what's this on top? Oh, that's rainbow frosting. Can I have some? I want some rainbow frosting. And I pretended to eat it. And I said, oh, that makes me feel all tingly inside. And for some reason, I felt compelled to tell you guys this, and I'm not sure why. But we went to a concert Friday, this guy, John Craigie, and he's a storyteller. And one of his songs says, I ain't old, baby, I'm brand new. And that's what I felt like when I ate that rainbow frosting this morning. It said, I ain't old, baby, I'm brand new. So I just wanted to tell you guys that. So I want to wrap this up with the prayer that Aiden does before we eat at our house. So we close our eyes and we hold hands. We finally got Dean. He's 3 years old. His birthday is today. So finally got Dean to hold hands and kind of settle down enough to close his eyes. But Aiden closes her eyes. She loves this, and she kind of moves her head around like she's reading the back of her eyelids, But she's looking somewhere. She's got her attention somewhere, and she'll say, I'm thankful for Mommy and Daddy and the playground and the butterflies and the birds and chocolate and ice cream. And she'll do that for a little while. And when she's done, she looks up and she looks around and says, Amen. So that's my blessing for you this morning. Amen. Namaste.